Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. Let's begin with a few words of prayer. Infinite loving presence, may we become consciously aware of your presence, the energy of infinite unconditional love that you are, pervades all things. It's particularly important that we make a conscious decision to allow that energy to flow through us as we celebrate the life of our dear friend Hosain. Celebration is truly in order. We see him continuing on life's eternal journey, wrapped in your ever-loving arms, knowing that all is well in the universe. And so it is. Amen. Thank you for adding your loving energy as we gather to celebrate Hosain's life. Hosain was my spiritual hero. He was the living demonstration of unconditional love. He lived it, he spoke it, he thought it, and he wrote it. Unconditional love. That is who he is. I'm not using the past tense because he still is all of that and more too. This was a life well lived. Hosain touched hearts and made friends wherever he went. It is important to remember that life is eternal. Eternal, never-ending life, energy. The energy and the love that Hosain is continues unabated forever. While we are not physically able to communicate with Hosain, he is very much present, still sending his unconditional love to those of us who remain a while on this planet. Hosain was born in Shiraz, Iran, the land of roses, poets, and Shiraz wine. Hafiz and Saadi, who became giants of Persian poetry, grew up there. Is it any wonder that Hosain became a poet? I think not. The family moved to Tehran, where Hosain finished high school. His mother was his greatest influence. She taught him painting, poetry, and a love for music. She taught him to play the tar, a string instrument similar to a mandolin. 2 years before he finished high school, the first revolt against the Shah began, and there was a coup in which many of his friends were lost. By the time of graduation from high school, 2 years later, he felt really unwelcome in his own country. He wanted to go to France, and his father said, hold on. His father was really concerned that if he went to France, he'd become a playboy. So, he wound up in Ann Arbor, attending the University of Michigan and the English Language Institute. He learned English in about 3 months, which was typical. He was interested and wanted to learn it, so he learned it. He earned a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and completed all but his dissertation towards a PhD. His field was physics and math. He taught high school physics and math for 30 years at Garden City High School, retiring in 1993. If you haven't figured out, Hosain was a photographer. of some note. You can see examples all around the space here. His love for photography goes back to Iran, where he began taking pictures. His first camera was a Minox, which he described as a small spy camera. And his purpose in acquiring this camera was to take pictures of this gorgeous young woman that he'd just fallen head over heels in love with. And he wasn't able to interact with her, so he would walk down the street in front of her and then turn around and take a little spy shot of her. And this was occurring just as he was getting ready to leave for the United States. So there was a method to his madness. He wanted to take some of her with him. He has taken photos ever since. His love for photography and his creative genius combined to lead him to build cameras, enlargers, develop new formulas for darkroom chemicals. And it led him to workshops in which he entered into a mentoring relationship with Ansel Adams, one of this country's greatest photographers. He joined the Ann Arbor Camera Club back in the 1960s. And he describes himself as an early adopter of digital cameras. And he said, well, that really got me in trouble with the camera club. They were ready to throw me out. I suspect that the march of history moves on, and I don't think you can even buy film and chemicals anymore. Everybody has made the switch, or almost everyone, to digital. Hosain exhibited his shows, his photography in many shows. His photography was instrumental in saving the ghost town of Fayette, Michigan, which is located in the Upper Peninsula. He took the photographs of this ghost town to Lansing and encouraged the legislature to adopt it as a historical place. And indeed, it's now got a visitor center and history teaching and history lessons, all as a result of his campaign to save it from the wrecking ball. Hosain's poetry is in the Sufi tradition, and in my opinion, for what it's worth, is often as good as that of Rumi, Hafez, and Sadi. He published 3 books of poetry, and many of his works have been set to music. You'll get an opportunity to hear some of that in the next portion of this celebration, when some of our musicians will do his poetry set to music. Not many people knew that Hosain was a runner. He actually used to stop at Hines Park on his way home from school every day and run 10 miles. In fact, he ran so well that he did the Boston Marathon in 1976 at the age of 43, turning in a time of under 3.5 hours for 26 miles, 385 yards. I might make it in 23.5 days. Another of Hosain's interests was cooking. And he learned Persian cooking from his mother when she visited him here in this country after he had immigrated. One of the things that he got into in his cooking was he served as a sous chef at the Tappan International Center on campus. And for that, he got meals. Of course, he didn't have a lot of money back in the 50s when he was in undergraduate school. So he developed this love for cooking. He actually was known to spend some time working at the Fleetwood Diner as well, in another institution. He learned from the house mother at Tappan International House how to cook for great quantities for a whole lot of people. And if you've ever been to one of Hosain's parties, you know that well. One of the other interesting aspects of Hosain's life is that he was interested in just about everything. He went to Washtenaw Community College and took welding classes just because he wanted to be a welder. He actually built a big fancy oven that will cook ribs just like he's never had before. And he built a pig roaster so that he could roast a pig weighing some 400 pounds and have a big party. So many aspects of Hosain's life are just amazing. It's just wonderful to know of his interests in just about everything. Another of Hosain's great loves was music and building things. He actually built several musical instruments. He built a number of drums, a dumbak, which is a Persian goblet drum, considered to be the principal percussion instrument of Persian music, a daf, or Persian ring drum. He built a santur, which is the Persian version of a hammered dulcimer. He built several tars, including one of fiberglass, and a wooden electric tar. The tar, of course, is a precursor to guitar and sitar. If you get the impression that Hosain had a lot of interests, you are absolutely correct. He was truly a Renaissance man. He will be greatly missed by Judy and his wife and partner of 30 years, David, his son, and legions of friends, including those he hadn't even met yet. Everybody was Hosain's friend, just hadn't met him. I would say a few words about this transition we call death. Life is eternal, and there really is no death. What we call death is simply a change in form. It's no different than when water freezes solid and becomes ice, or when water turns into a gas and becomes steam. It simply is energy transforming from one shape to another. And while Hosain's physical body is no longer working, his emotional self, his infinite loving soul, is fully active. And if we could actually talk to him right now, he would tell us, relax, I'm having fun. Don't worry about me. Nothing will interfere with his enjoyment of the rest of this thing we call eternal life. Let us wish him well on the continuation of the journey we call eternal life. I would share this poem by James Dillett Freeman called The Traveler. He has put on invisibility. Dear Lord, I cannot see Hosain, but this I know, although the road ascends and passes from my sight, that there will be no night, that you will take him gently by the hand and lead him on along the road of life that never ends. And he will find it is not death, but dawn. I do not doubt that you are there as here, and you will hold him dear. Our life did not begin with birth. It is not of the earth. And this that we call death, it is no more than the opening and closing of a door. And in your house, how many rooms must be beyond this one where we rest momently. Dear Lord, I thank you for the faith that frees, the love that knows it cannot lose its own, the love that, looking through the shadows, sees that you and he and I are ever one. So, this next portion of the service, we've arranged some sharings in the more formal part of the sharing. The first offering is a musical offering by Julie's brother Chip Kramer and his daughter Julia Kramer, entitled Family Tree.
Branches in the wind, still standing here together. One more storm to weather, we're through it yet.
So we're gathered here, holding on to each other, to let go of another one we won't forget. Now as we say goodbye to one of our own, we may be lonely, but we're not alone. Though the leaves will fall and the tears will flow, may it always comfort us to know the family tree will always grow.
Father down to son,
Mother to daughter, thicker than water, we are made of this.
from the earth we rise, to the earth returning. We'll keep a candle burning for the ones we miss.
Now as we say goodbye to one of our own, we may be lonely, but we're not alone. Though the leaves will fall and the tears will flow, may it always comfort us to know the family tree will always grow. Stronger than the wind will blow. The family tree will always grow.
Judy will now share a selection of Hosain's poetry.
hear that? This is not where I normally am. I'm usually there. He's here. So I had, some time ago, developed a folder for when he died, people to contact and all things. And in it I had some poems that I had put, that he had written about death. And I thought, wow, that's great. And so I picked the ones that I wanted to read to you today. And I've got 4 of them. Don't believe it when they say you are alive. Not until you dance to the tune of your heart. Don't believe it if they say you are dead. For the echo of love will outlast any localized death. When the time comes, I will celebrate, that was his word, the final act of grace. To dwell in the heart of every friend I have touched. To leave a taste of my love to all lips. And to bring laughter to all who remember me. You will never find me. If a tear drops by, or a smile brushes your face, or a song bursts out of your chest, you know I have come to visit. I think I'm doing better than I thought I was going to. My life is a gift. My treasure is my friends. My future is infinity. My death is a bargain. I take birth every moment. When my time comes, nothing will remain but love. And I just wanted to say that Hosain's blood type tells it all. It says it all. Be positive.
Next, we'll have a musical offering shared by the Hosain Mosavat Ensemble, consisting of Jim Cooney, Shakina Arrington, Griff Griffin, and Coral Emmers. And Hosain, yes. Come on up.
While the guys and gal are getting set up, I'm here in the corner of the piano. I'll just say that 2013 we formed around Hosain to encourage him to perform live, and it was a beautiful opportunity to explore his vision of musicians and poetry and poets coming together. And we were hoping to support him with reading his beautiful poetry and recording it, which we did some of. So that's how it all began. This is for you, Hosain, for everybody.
like the ocean waves rushing to meet the shore, like waterfalls free falling to resemble the naked power of you, like the songbird saying, I am singing my heart out for you. Like night rushing to meet the sun, to give birth to a new day. Tell me, is this not the tapestry of love which is our home? As my love grows greater and my feet get older, I must abandon traveling from place to place and take up traveling from heart to heart. You are like bottled sunshine, floating on the sea or planted in mud. Wherever life places you, you are still sunshine inside. If there is anything to be love.
lay down your sweet and weary head. Night is falling, you have come to journey's end. Sleep now, dream of the ones who came before. They are calling from across the distant shore. Why do you weep? What are these tears upon your face? Soon you will see. All of your fears will pass away, safe in our arms. You're only sleeping. What can you see? On the horizon, why do the white ghosts call? Across the sea, a pale moon rises. The ships have come to carry you home, and all will turn to silver glass. A light on the horizon, all souls pass. Hope fades into the world of night, through shadows falling out of memory and time. Don't say we have come down to the end. White shores are calling, you and I will meet again, and you'll be here in our arms. Just sleeping, what can you see? On the horizon, why do the white ghosts call? Across the sea, a pale moon rises. The ships have come to carry you home, and all will turn to silver glass. A light on the water, gray ships pass into the west.
Next up is Ginger Wikers, reading a selection from the writings of Hosain.
I guess I'll begin by saying good morning. because that's how Hosain would always greet me, and it never mattered what time of day it was. So for at least probably a year, I had the pleasure and the privilege of sitting with Hosain and working on his biography. And I would interview him, and he would tell wonderful stories and tales. And his beloved wife, Judy, was his scribe. And she would write, and she would go, "What did you say?" and would repeat it differently. And she would write it down anyways, and it was beautiful. And it was a beautiful process to go through, and like I said, a privilege. So when we were writing the biography, which by the way, when Judy has time, maybe by the end of this year or next year, it's something that will probably be available to all of you. And I encourage you to read it and get the deeper insights and his wonderful stories and recipes. So this was his writing. I, Hosain Mosava, was born in Shiraz, Iran, the land of roses, poets, and Shiraz wine. I went to school in Tehran and graduated from high school there. 2 years before my graduation, the first revolution in Iran began. The violence was great. The loss of many of my friends made me feel unwelcome in my own country and without freedom. My father decided to send me to America, where I stayed and became a citizen, finished my schooling, and then taught physics and math. During that time, I began to write poetry. I had a son, whom he was incredibly proud of. And he would talk about often and with such profound love. It was a privilege. He made music as well as musical instruments, cooked extensively, which was such a great joy and part of the love that he showed to all of his friends who gathered with him. He was a gatherer of friends and made friends wherever he said that I went, and I never lost sight of any one of them, which is evident today. I'm sure we'll hear with him. I retired from teaching in 1993, and these again are his words at the time, now living in Whitmore Lake. When the time comes, I will be buried in a nearby Whitmore Lake graveyard. And I think it's beautiful. What comes next is, this is his advice to you. Come and visit me with my books. I will have something to say beyond this life. Connecting hearts will not die, will not be buried. It is a forever relationship. My friends, I will not be denied loving you.
Thank you, Ginger. Next up are members of Nutshell, Tom Doyle's, Linda Tina, and Don Simon, doing some of Hosain's poetry stuff.
John Lloyd's here too. This first song we're going to be doing for you is a poem, one of Hosain's poems that Laz Slomovitz wrote the melody to. The poem is called Like a Flute. And just about ready. like a flute. How can I sing without the touch of your lips? Like a flute, I am lifeless without your breath flowing through me. Like a flute, how can I change my tune without the caressing of your fingers? Like love, how can I exist without dissolving in you? Like love, how can I exist without dissolving in you? Like a flute, how can I change my tune without the caressing of your fingers? Like love, how can I exist without dissolving in you? Like love, how can I exist without dissolving in you? This next poem was originally written with the name Cages by Hosain, and we've been singing it for him and with him together for a couple years now, many years maybe. I think it was since your anniversary party. How long ago was that?
The 2080,
The big one.
20th anniversary, or 2060. Yours 60?
Yeah. 10 years ago. Oh my gosh. So, and Hosain, well, we're going to ask you to sing with us for one thing. And the words of the song sort of end with love to be free, search love to be free. And Hosain said, oh, that should be the name of the song. So we have, hope we'll do it well. And Hosain loved rock and roll music too. And when we've got the full band, we've got drums and we've got a bass guitar. So this is a little simpler version, but we hope you'll sing with us. We'll give you some cues. Yet they seek love. Yet they seek love, not knowing that love starts with openness, absolute acceptance, a place to be different, and above all, to be free. Love starts with openness, absolute acceptance, and above all, to be free. Love and openness, to be love starts with openness. This is when you can sing this. To be free. To be free. To be free. Keep singing. Love starts with openness, absolute acceptance, and above all, to be free. Love and openness, to be free. To be
Next up is Eric Sorensen reading the tribute in poetic form to Hosain.
I'm so glad there's already been some laughter. Hosain taught me so much about life and about poetry and about myself. So this is a bit of a verse that I composed a few years ago. And because humor is such a part of Sufi thought, I thought, well, what better style of poem to compose for Hosain than a limerick? I have a great friend named Hosain. He sports a beautiful, silky white mane. He reads Sufi verse, and the whole universe stands on its head, going happily insane. When I got word, the last of Judy's Hosain health updates, my first response was to respond in verse. And here it is. How can my heart be breaking when it is still so full of love from being your friend? You have left us behind, holding the treasure that was your life. I only hope we can spend it well. Thank you.
This next portion of the service is a time that we set aside for sharing. And I would preface that by saying there's an old Swedish proverb that goes like this: a joy shared is twice a joy, and a pain shared is half a pain. So, this next portion is a time that we spend multiplying the joy of our life knowing Hosain and dividing into tiny little pieces the pain of our present separation, our apparent separation. So, Joe Levitt is asked to be first up, and I'm going to hand this mic to him. This is a Native American talking stick. So, you get to talk only when you have the stick.
You're supposed to be able to defend yourself with these. I walked into the Camera Club about 12 years ago, and Judy was standing there by Hosain's side, as she always has. Wasn't her incredibly devoted care of Hosain? It has been remarkable in my experience. And of course, she has, of all of us who had the joy of knowing him, Judy had the greatest joy. And therefore, although we've all had a loss, Judy has had the greatest loss. Anyway, I walked in and Judy was standing there. Judy, with her beautiful then blonde hair. And who wouldn't embrace Judy? But Hosain opened his arms, and so I opened my arms. I figured this was a Camera Club ritual. And Judy asked, "Do you two know each other?" And we said, "We've never met." And that was true. So Hosain spent his life doing the very best he could to love every human being, even human beings without beautiful blonde hair, and to become a part of them, and to feel a part of them. And he didn't limit that to people, but to everything about the world. So I wanted to read his poem that I liked best. And that was, I was going homeward. Perhaps he has. I was going homeward, minding my own business. A rose from the side of the road yelled at me. "Whoa, old man, not so fast. I wasn't put on the side of this road for you so you could run by me. I am here to greet you. The least you can do is slow down. You may never see another rose. What would your life be worth then? My knees buckled, and I knelt down to face the rose. We conversed. You have to admit, it's quite a challenge to understand rose talk. One word from one petal, another word from the next petal, and a golden heart in the deeper level, spewing the essence of unbearable ecstasy. I was quite overwhelmed. Overwhelmed by so much contribution to the growth of my heart. I said to the rose, "How could I leave you?" The rose replied, "Well, now that we have understood each other, you could take me with you. For my job on the side of this road is complete." So I did. I picked up the rose by its stem, and I know not how long we walked. All I know is when I came to, I became so conscious of relating to something so small and in such a big way. I become a rose to offer my life to people who come by to visit and take me with them. Until the next rose by the side of your path, I bid you farewell. So I've done my best to follow Hosain's lead, and now I can make a similar effort to follow Judy's lead, and therefore to repeat a poem which Judy read to us just a little while ago. A little amended, but the same poem. You will never see me, but if a tear drops by, or a smile brushes your face, or a song bursts out of your chest, you will know I have come to visit.
So now, you don't have to come up here. Just wave your hand and say, "Give me the mic, I want to talk." Yes, in the back. And so, this is the way it's going to go. You guys are self-administering.
I've been waiting for it.
Hosain and I always had a wonderful exchange, especially after one time he came to Interfaith and I said, "Hosain, I just love to take you to bed with me at night." With your poetry, that is.
First thing I want to say is, Judy, you are an extremely lucky person because you got the biggest chunk of Hosain of anybody in this room. And cherish that, love that, and keep that with you forever. You and your family as well. Gail and I, we give you the best of blessings. I'm here also representing the MAC group in Detroit. That's where I met Hosain at. We're a computer users group over in the Southfield area. And meeting Hosain for the first time, since he liked food so much, I'm going to equate it the same way. I looked out on our group, and one day Judy and Hosain were there. It's like looking at a buffet table, and you saw like the jello and the pudding and this and that. Then all of a sudden you saw this really marvelous dessert sitting over on this side. What the heck is that? And that marvelous dessert was Hosain, and he's just a guy that you meet him, and the first time I met him, this warmth just radiated, and you immediately liked the guy. You couldn't help but like him. And he's a wonderful person, and always will be in my heart, and I've been waiting for meeting him as well. And Judy, God bless you, and I hope everything always will be sweet.
I'm going to try to say this and not cry, but no promises. The first time I met Judy and Hosain was about 10 feet from where I'm standing now. And I was going through a time when I felt that my life was in tatters. But I kept it to myself because I'm a well-brought-up Southern girl and you just don't tell people those things. It was a special event here at the center. There was a guru at the front of the room meeting people. And we were in line. The first time I met Hosain and Judy, I was standing right behind Hosain. And he took up some space, and I was standing behind him, feeling small and broken and tattered. And I don't know how he knew I was there. And I don't know how that beautiful man felt, how deep my need was. He couldn't possibly have seen me. I was behind him. His peripheral vision would have told him nothing about me. He turned around completely, opened his arms to me, enveloped me, and pushed me in front of him. And then Judy turned around and opened her arms to me, enveloped me in her love, and put me in front of her. People who are truly kind, truly good, truly loving, have no idea how deeply they touch people just by being what they are. Judy, I'm the one that wrote you the email. I'm the one that told you, you and your husband taught me love, taught me what it is to be lifted up and included, taught me how to be a better person. And I am the one who wanted to follow you home like a puppy. Thank you so much for being who you are. God bless you both forever.
I teach photography at Washington Community College, and Hosain was a huge supporter of what we do there. When our Digitizer Camera Club when we had a lack of participation, rather than complain about it, Hosain did something about it. And that's who Hosain was. He would do things. So he said, well, every month I'm going to give a presentation, and people will come and they'll learn from me. And we all did. I also, when Hosain found out that I was leading a study abroad course to Turkey, he convinced Judy that they should go. And they came on the trip, and one of the things that I was teaching on the trip was how to photograph people who were in different cultures. We were in Istanbul, where there are people of many cultures, not just Turkish people, people from all over the world. And I was trying to think of useful things to tell people on, how to sort of blend in and photograph people without being discovered, and how to interact with people and so forth. And we're kind of standing around, and before I knew it, people in Istanbul were photographing Hosain. And then everyone was photographing Hosain. Hosain went over and sat on the bench, and he was like, okay, if you want pictures, here I am. And he patiently sat there until everyone was done, and then I think we went to dinner. But that's the kind of person Hosain was.
One of the things I wanted to attribute to Hosain, and I wasn't going to speak, but when Judy read the Be Positive stuff, it reminded me of how Hosain changed the whole tone of the Anna Hurricane Camera Club. When I first came in, it was sort of competitive, look at my little pictures, see how great I've done, blah, 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 and everybody heavily critiqued it. And people didn't feel very positive, again, it will not say it. And Judy and Hosain started coming up with all kinds of positive things to tell people first. And then said, if you would like some more feedback, we'll tell you more about what you can do to improve your pictures. that became a tone, and the days that they were gone, we would notice a difference in the club. And then after time, the whole club has sort of picked that up. And Keith left earlier, I wish he was here to hear this, but Keith has been one of the key learning students because he was very good in giving, started setting that trend of giving positives. So the club felt very positive. Judy and Hosain started the whole culture of hug in the camera club and made it a warm, accepting kind of place for a whole lot of folks to grow and learn. And that's one of the wonderful things among hundreds that he gave us. Thank you, Judy, and we'll be there for you.
I knew Hosain back when he actually had black hair. That was a long time ago. Back in '76, I started taking camera classes at Washington Community College, and we just hooked up, and we became friends for a while when I was taking classes, and then life sort of took off, and we parted ways for a while, but we hooked back up, and I was still doing film, and he was in the digital. He went into digital big time. And we used to have a lot of fun going back and forth, and he would say, you know, he was doing photography, and I would say, well, I was doing real photography. We'd just have fun doing that. And then finally, I was actually there when the camera club decided to go on. There was a battle there for digital and film, and but Hosain was ahead of, you know, he was out there, and he was already doing the future. And he, if anybody has seen Hosain's garage, you know he never did anything in a little way. It was always full bore. And I was lucky enough to spend a lot of time with him. And with Judy, we had a lot of personal things that we did together. And I'm just a better person for knowing both of them. I'm sorry. That's...
Hi everybody, my name is Nushin and I am an Iranian, and my heart is just warm and my heart is full to just see all the beautiful faces that they are here. They appreciate music and they appreciate poetry. I'm just so proud. I'm just such a proud Iranian to just know. And I have heard about Hosain many years, and then I had never met him. I just knew that Iranian Sufi poet is among the community, and I don't know how it happened that beloved Shakina just kind of connected to us. We were just having conversations after the service, and then she connected us, and then I wrote an email and then got a response right away. And I don't remember, it was Judy and it was Hosain that one of them responded. And then I, at that point, my son was a freshman at U of M, and my daughter was a middle schooler. And I really wanted to just like take a little bit of the spirituality to the Iranian student in U of M, and I wanted my son to be a little bit in touch with that. And Judy said that you can talk to Hosain, and then I just talked to him and just said that, hey, are you open to just coming to U of M and then just talk to some Iranian students? And then he said, I think I can do that. And just like, would you like to just, and I asked, would you like to just come home for some Iranian dinner? And then he said, yes. And then they just came. And then before just knowing Judy, I was a little bit nervous. And I'm like, I'm cooking for an American, and then if she's gonna like it. And then they just came, and just I saw all that beauty in both of them, and especially just like all the simplicity that was Judy bringing and just all the opening and just like all the inviting the culture and the love of the food and how she like, you know, just like showing me the photography from Iran. And you don't understand how charming both of them were there in that dinner night. And then the kids, my middle schooler and then the one in college, they were just like, being just so amazed by what he was talking. He was so charming. He was just grabbing their attention. And even my mechanical engineering husband was talking to Hosain also. It's a miracle, you know. My husband is talking to a Sufi. And then there was just like, and then they just came. I put an event together for U of M, and then both of them came, and then Hosain talked, and he read that rose poem, you know, to some of the students, and then they just like went from there, and then my son was just really deeply touched, and then he was sorry he couldn't come tonight because he had to read the exam tomorrow, but he wanted to just say that, you know, he really was really touched by Hosain. And Hosain also stayed in touch with my daughter, and then he's like, if you can just like poetry through email, and I read your emails. And then my daughter Melody was just really touched that, you know, by the connection. And the connection just kept going, and then, you know, they just came and we visited, and I really wish that I just could just be there more, and I just could just cook some more of his favorite Iranian food. But I just know that his love to just like was like to make friends, and to make friends, and then he was just really cherishing everyone, and that made you really feel really special. And that was just really blessing to just get to know him and to know Judy. And to just like, I just wanted to just say that I'm just in awe. I'm just in awe. I'm just amazed that how much you have done. And it's just like a pure love story to me.
I guess I met him in the early 80s. And Hosain and I cooked up this interesting idea, which is that I would bring my harp and he would coach me. And I've had a lot of lessons in my life, and I've never had a lesson like that. We did it several times, and he would say these things that I really didn't know what he was talking about. I was about 29, and now that I'm almost 69, I've actually just begun to understand those things. I mean, literally, the things he told me have taken me that long to embody through my music. But no one has ever taken the time or paid that kind of attention to help me in that particular way. It had to do with bringing through my true self as I made music. That's what we were doing. So, thank you.
Obviously, there are people here who've known Hosain a whole lot longer than I, but the thing that struck me most was his deep, deep fundamental peace. He was always not only interested in people, he could pass on a piece of it. He could always make you feel better. When at the Camera Club, first thing, every time he was there and I was there, it would start with a hug. And it was a close hug. Judy was involved too. But it was always a peaceful thing. He was transmitting peace. And that's my memory.
I met Hosain sitting in the community room next door here one day, and he would have some of his books he was selling, and I got one for my grandson, and I asked Hosain if he would sign it for him. I said he was 16 years old and loved poetry, and he said, "What's his name?" And I said, "Leo." He said, "Like the lion?" I said, "Yes." And I saw Hosain scroll 2 words in the book, and it wasn't until I got home that I looked at it, and those 2 words said, Hosain Mosabah, right? No, not right. It said, "Love fiercely."
Anybody else? No?
I thought I was Hosain's best friend, which is what all of you thought. Because whether you knew him for 25 years, 25 days, or 25 seconds, he made you feel that way. Because he had such love and passion. But there's another side of his passion. We had Judy and Hosain over to dinner many times and played games afterwards, and there's this game called Categories, and you have this series of categories, and you roll a die, and everybody makes an answer. And every one of my buddies, Hosain's answers were some of the nastiest, dirtiest, funniest things I've ever heard. I love every minute of it. Thank you.
I'm probably most commonly known as, "Oh, you're the one who helped him clean the basement." I met Judy and Hosain just a couple of years ago at poetry reading. I didn't know Hosain, I didn't know Judy, I didn't know where I was, and I don't remember how I got there. I just remember I needed to go, and I noticed 2 things that day, and Hosain said 2 things to me that day. I noticed that this was a man that people literally sat at his feet. And I noticed that Judy would sigh and hold her heart and cry when he read his poetry. You have no idea, Judy, how many times I've been about to become very surly, that I've had to pause and check myself and ask, what would Judy do? And he said 2 things to me that day. One, he said, he stared at me and said, "Are you always so quiet?" And I said, "No." And a little while later, he looked at me and his hands were on his belly, which was bigger then, and he said, "You're one of us, aren't you?" I still don't have any idea what he meant. But I knew that the answer was yes, and so I said yes. And I don't know, that started some mutual admiration society. And Hosain had Judy craft some email to me after that reading, and said that I had something he wanted more of, and he knew I was a minister, and he asked if I would come and talk to them about performing a vow renewal ceremony. So I show up at their home. Hosain has obviously cooked, and I bring my computer, and Hosain looks at me and says, "We don't have any idea how to do this." And I said, "Oh, don't worry, I do," thinking he was talking about this vow renewal. And it took a bit to realize that was totally a ruse just to get me to come to the house. And when I realized that they'd already done their vow renewal in front of a tree one year and in front of a squirrel another year, and they didn't need me for a vow renewal, I realized that I didn't know how to do this either, because I didn't know what the hell we were doing. So we shared some of our poetry, and we ate and shared a little bit about ourselves, and I honestly have never felt so at home. Hosain pulled a Hosain on me very early on and said, "You say goodbye too much, you need to say hello more." And honest to God, Hosain, I still say goodbye just as much, but I say hello in greater numbers, and I'm good with that equation, which is math that even I can understand. He said something big was about to happen in me and he wanted to be a part of that. And again, he's a humble man, and so I have no idea, none, because I didn't then, if he had any concept of how much he would be part of creating that. So I want to share with you one of his poems that he wanted to make sure that Judy gave me one day. He was very excited about it. Oh, but one thing that he loved to do, because I actually did follow them around like a puppy, and I go bouncing up to Hosain in my arty clothes, and I give him a great big hug and a great big kiss, and then I'd laugh way too loudly, and he took great joy in saying to people, "This is Sherry, she's my new friend. She's a minister." And then his eyes would just twinkle and his cheeks would crinkle as he would like watch their face go through changes. Before they finally said, "You're a minister," and I would just reply, "Not that kind of minister." So I figured when Hosain gave this poem to me, I had arrived, and I cannot tell you how many people I've shared this poem with, and so, yeah. When you're finally broken open and your heart cries out like a newborn baby, gather friends to celebrate the fallen walls that kept you contained and untouchable, even to yourself. So bad that you cannot even reach down deep into your own self. The broken shell is the final act to immerse in freedom. Stay broken. No more walls will ever contain you, and no more fears would dare to come here. Be good to yourself and share this moment with those who choose to dance with you. Dancing into freedom is the most beautiful fruit that life can give you. As soon as I put this pen down, I'll join you in this greatest moment of our lives.
Thank you, Hosain. I see Hosain in your eyes and in your heart. Hosain made such a wonderful and profound difference in my life. I met him so long ago through Jamie, our drumming and musical family, making music, making instruments, and having that song jump right out of my chest. And he told me many great things about himself. He was a runner, he ran over 60,000 miles. He took me on a great ride, and we didn't take the highway, we took the back roads. I thought, wow, this is long, but it was no time at all. It was now time, just like Hosain is here now. And on the way here, and I'm always looking from awareness and from the eyes that Hosain spoke of love, there was a bald eagle flying right over Briarwood. So I had to go left and chase the eagle down and have my camera, and I'm not even part of the camera club. And yeah, the eagle was there with many birds around it, flying, and all of you were there with Hosain, as you are now. So much love. Thank you.
I don't have anything very profound to say after that, except for the fact that I've known Judy since I was born, so I've got a lot of experience with her. And she's all heart. She's really all heart. Love you, Judy. And I appreciate everyone being here for this experience. And I'm just so glad that you're here. It's like you're the mother of this place somehow. You're a great mother. She's all heart. She's always been all heart. And I can see it coming out here. So I just want to tell you I love you, and I'm so glad to be here with you.
I'd like to share a quick story of how Hosain could put people at ease. It was a couple days after 9/11, and I was giving him an old Ford Festiva
So we went to the Secretary of State in a town where it was very white and uptight and all chattering in there, and we walked in together. Everyone stopped and stared at him, and you could hear a pin drop. It went silent. And Hosain stepped forward and said, "It's okay, I don't have a bomb." And then we concluded our business. Anybody else?
I'm Elizabeth, I'm Judy and Hosain's niece, and I want to echo something that my uncle said. Sometimes when you come to a family memorial service, you find out surprises about someone that you thought you knew very well, and I didn't know that Hosain worked at the Fleetwood, so that was surprising. But I think that one thing that is unusual about this, and not surprising at all, is that I'm not surprised by this beautiful community that he has, and that all of these people, and how you've all been part of his life creatively, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, because we've been included in that, and you've welcomed us into your communities, and I'm very grateful for that, and grateful to see you here supporting my lovely Aunt Judy.
I just want to say, Hosain told me that he owned the Fleetwood Diner. It's in the autobiography. Thank you all. Thank you all. This has just been so beautiful.
We've all lost a good friend who has the biggest heart. Every time you come to my house for a barbecue, for a cookout, for a party, he'd walk out the door and say, "I hate you." He told me, he says, "I hate you." He says, "You outdid me once again." It's okay. We still make our food with love. Thanks to you. Thank you.
I think there's one here.
I just wanted to say that some of you are probably familiar with the poem by Linda Ellis called The Dash, where you might be standing in front of a tombstone that has a birth date and a deceased date. But what's important is the dash that's in between. And I hardly know anyone that has spent his dash so well.
So you all know that Hosain loved food and loved to cook. There's actually a ton of food out there, so we're going to call this party adjourned to the food table. So let's close with a blessing. Infinite loving presence, we commend the soul of our beloved Hosain into your eternal care. And if you'd like to join me, there's a Sufi benediction that we use every Sunday here in the center. It's on the walls at either end of the room. So let's say it together. May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide with you. May God's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. Go in peace and eat lots.
I have a message from me to you is that what I say is not in the daily life. In order to understand what I'm saying is because either I'm crazy or I live in another world. If you can leave the pain and the sorrow and everything you go every day, there is another level of feeling together, love and caring for everyone. That's where I'm coming from. That's what I say. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking from you. I think the last poem should be the one that is supposed to be last one. May I sit down? I'll be good.